Welcome back. We're discussing the Obama administration's options in what's become known as the AfPak region, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Joining me are Rehan Salam, an associate editor at The Atlantic magazine and fellow at the New America Foundation, and Haider Mullik, a senior fellow at the U.S. Joint Special Operations University. Welcome to both of you again. I'm going to go straight to the phones now and get a call from one of our viewers in California. Nader in California, go ahead.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Great show. The question is that we all know every action there is a mind behind, and every mind there is an ideology behind. Don't you think that the ideology of the Wahhabism and the Saudis' money is behind the Taliban in this area? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Haider Mullik.
I wouldn't say it that simply. I think they're getting their financial resources, Pakistani Taliban or Afghan Taliban are getting financial resources from the opium trade, from the criminal network that has kind of come under this rubric of Taliban, which is not by any definition a monolithic organization, but certainly the diaspora community of the representatives in the Gulf states, in Saudi Arabia, are sending back money that they would like to go into some kind of program related to the Taliban, which, as you know, now have gotten involved in governance issues. They're providing judicial services. So it's not just a fighting force. It's a force that would like to take over parts of Pakistan, govern it, provide justice and codes of their own kind. So certainly there is money coming from the Gulf states, from the diaspora community, but also people who would like to contribute to that, and then various charity groups that are working.
But in terms of ideology, are they inspired by this particular brand of Islam?
I think it is a mix between Deobandism mixed with Wahhabism, but this is a very indigenous South Asian sort of Wahhabism. But more than ideology, it is also mixed with a lot of nationalist feeling now.
Okay, I want to get back to the U.S. involvement in this region. Rehan Salam, you wrote recently on your blog, you said that there is a real possibility that the Talibanization of Pakistan will force President Obama to deploy U.S. forces among a population that, to put it mildly, wouldn't greet their arrival with flowers and chocolates. Do you believe that it will ever get to that stage where there would be U.S. forces on the ground?
I think that's extremely hard to believe, but consider this possibility. There's a lot of anxiety in the United States about Pakistan's nuclear arsenal. Now, some of that anxiety is misplaced because the Pakistani military has a lot of advantages relative to an essentially Pashtun insurgency because, again, the Pashtun population is 15% of the population. But the United States government has to have contingency plans for rolling back Pakistan's nuclear capabilities, and this is a subject that creates tremendous anxiety within Pakistan. But in the case of some kind of disaster involving, for example, nuclear terrorism, something that I consider to be very, very unlikely, but not utterly impossible, I think that there would have to be some sort of massive response, and I don't think the United States is capable of successfully pacifying, occupying Pakistan. I mean, I think it's utterly unimaginable, and yet in a nightmare scenario, I think the United States would have to take some kind of drastic action.
Okay, let's. Sorry,
I just wanted to mention one thing, that there's a secret program between the United States and Pakistan for the last 3 years, where $100 million are being spent in just securing the nuclear weapons of Pakistan. And I believe about 6 to a year.
It's also not clear how those funds are being spent.
Yes,
yeah.
and that's why a whole question of conditions comes in, like how much Pakistanis would like to use U.S. tax dollars, but have the least amount of conditions because of the sensitive nature. And like any other country that has nuclear weapons, it's a very coveted entity. They would like to keep certain parts of it secret, and Americans would like to know more. For example, we Americans, as of now, cannot tell how many nuclear weapons Pakistan has.
Okay, let's go back to our callers, and this is Abbasal calling from the United Kingdom. Abbasal, go ahead with your question.
Hello, sir. Just my question is regarding about this tribal region which is going on. Basically, I'm just thinking about Pakistan, what exactly they are thinking, what is happening, because this problem is coming from very long times ago. You know, when this is the virulent problem coming from, like if Afghan people wants to stop American to doesn't stay in our country, they will never stay in Afghanistan. They will never ever. The same thing will happen to.
So what is your question, Abbasal?
My question is, like, why Pakistani people should not solve the Pashtun people problem, which is happening because this land is belong to Pashtun. this is a Pashtun people land because they did not treat Pashtun people in a frantic province in the right ways.
Okay,
So the
thank you.
problem is coming in Karachi, the problem is coming in Quetta, the problem is coming in everywhere. And still, because who killed the Dr. Najib? They killed the Pakistani CIA, killed them. Why they killed him?
Okay,
So
well,
this problem,
let me put your question to Haider Malik.
Yes, the caller is absolutely right about a very, very difficult past that the central government in Pakistan has had with insurgents. There have been a total of 4 nationalist insurgencies in the Pashtun area in the northern frontier since 1947. This one is a very different kind of an animal. It's mixed with ideological players. The Al-Qaeda is involved. They have a global agenda, then a regional agenda, a national agenda, but it is feeding on the Pashtun nationalists. And that's why Pakistan has always been very paranoid about a government in Kabul that's going to rekindle the idea of Pashtunistan again and rekindle Pashtun nationalism. That's one reason why they would keep at least some connection with the Afghan Taliban. The other is, of course, the geopolitical reason of being paranoid to some degree legitimately about an excessively pro-India Kabul government. And India stepping in and giving a certain amount of money and training and possibly abetting the other dormant insurgency in Pakistan, which is the Baloch.
Right. Well, you know, there has been a great deal of, well, there was a great deal of animosity between President Karzai and former Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf. They were often accusing each other of not doing enough to stop the Taliban in each other's countries. Rehan, do you believe that under President Asif Ali Zardari that's going to change?
I think that the question is how much influence does President Zardari really have? Because I think that his orientation is to try to cool these tensions. But again, I think a lot of this is structural. Musharraf represented the institutional voice of the Pakistani military, and I think that Haider is absolutely right. I think that the anxiety about Afghanistan as the strategic flank of Afghanistan, the sense that Hamid Karzai had relationships with India, sort of, you know, during his time in exile. The Northern Alliance obviously had close ties to India as well, and also some of these kind of fantastic notions that a lot of Pakistanis have about Indian involvement at present in Afghanistan. A lot of this doesn't actually hold water, but again, you know, it makes a good deal of sense. Americans are saying, you know, move the troops into the Fatah, move the troops to this area, and the Pakistanis are saying, wait, we have a, you know, profound existential concern along our frontier with India. So I think that President Zardari, as much as he might want to ease those tensions, it's very hard for me to see him do that, and I think that's part of the problem of focusing all of this effort on him as a figure, you know, holding him accountable, when really he has a very difficult political problem ahead of him.
Okay, I want to get another caller in quickly. This is Mazhar calling from Pakistan. Mazhar, we only have a few seconds. If you could go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you very much. Basically, I wanted to make a comment. You can say this is a solution to the terrorism here in Pakistan or Afghanistan, that unless United Nations bans Jamaat Islami, that is an organization here in Pakistan and Bangladesh also, these types of groups who are basically working as a terrorist, they will come up. They will continue.
Okay, and with that comment, thank you very much, Mazhar. With that comment, I'm afraid we're going to have to end the show right there. Thanks for being with us. On the next show, we take a look at the Iraq War with one of its architects, former Bush administration official Richard Haas, slams the invasion of Iraq as unwarranted and poorly implemented. That's next time. See you then.